The 80s was a great time for some of us with music, video games, and movies. However, there were some more important things that happened in the 80s. One that comes to mind is the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall was originally constructed in 1941 out of cinder block and barbed wire. Later on in 1961, the wall was constructed of concrete through volunteer forces of the Soviet Army, police, and volunteer contractors. The wall was 4 feet thick, 12 feet high, and 96 miles long. It had sand pits at the bottom of it so that the soldiers could see footprints or tunnels if anybody was trying to go over or tunnel under the wall. The wall was originally created to separate communist-owned East Berlin from Democratic Allied American, French, and British West Berlin. It was supposed to ease the tensions between the governments after World War II. The 80s was a time of the Cold War. The wall represented how the two parts of the world felt about one another. The democratic part of the world felt that the communist part of the world was oppressing their people, holding them down, holding them back, not letting them have an education. And of course, the democratic part of the world is all for that kind of thing. And this wall represented the tensions between the two. The tensions in America and other countries ran high due to the threat of a possible nuclear war. This put everyone on edge as we were still practicing air raid drills. These drills signified the impending doom that loomed upon us with nuclear war. During this time, Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev were in constant negotiations to try to ease tensions, come up with other ways to not go to war. The fall of the Berlin Wall happened on November 9th, 1989. With the fall of the wall being so prominent, it was amazing that the citizens of Berlin were allowed to tear down the wall without retaliation. This represented Russia's willingness to change. Their willingness to change then, of course, fortified negotiations with communist countries in the future. Changes of this nature also allowed countries like Poland and several others to enjoy freedoms of the Western world, like movies and media, allowed them to hold elections and ultimately join NATO and be an ally. This also allowed the economic oppression of communism to start to fall apart and laid a basis for European money, the euro, that one currency across all states over there. The changes in East Berlin were drastic after the wall fell. Jobs before the wall fell were state-ran, state-organized, and you were told what job you were going to work. After the wall fell, those jobs were privatized, and job loss ensued due to not having the right quality of work, not being qualified for the job you were assigned, and that began to raise taxes in West Germany, and they were not happy about that. The fall of the Berlin Wall represented the end of the Cold War and the end of communism in a post-World War II Europe. It allowed for America to reduce its armed forces in that location and ease tension for America and all its allies. In short, the fall of the Berlin Wall allowed everyone to breathe easier and realize that the threat of nuclear war was gone.